You know what happens quite often? Someone shows me their photographs and asks me, "What do you think about my photograph?" And I look at it and I have nothing to say. Technically, it's fine. Exposure is okay, it is sharp and has decent composition. But there is nothing there, nothing that pulls me in, nothing that makes me stop and feel something. It is just another boring photograph. And that's usually the point when I start explaining the person about storytelling. See, one of the first challenges that we face and need to overcome in our photography journey is to be able to capture technically good images. Once we cross that bridge, a second, much bigger challenge appears. How do we make our photographs interesting to look at? How do we turn a record of reality into something that means something? And the most powerful way to do so is by using storytelling. Storytelling is not new. It has existed throughout all of our existence. But what we need to solve as photographers is how to translate what we see into a story. How do we turn a collection of visual elements into a narrative? The essence of visual storytelling comes down to two things: what we see and what we feel when we look at it. That creates the story we tell ourselves and the story we remember. Our job is to guide the viewer through that emotional and visual journey, to go beyond simply documenting what's in front of us, and to reveal something else, something that lives inside the frame. And many will call that thing that lives inside of our frames a story. So let's first focus on what we see. At the most basic level, we're talking about the story itself, the premise of the situation. What are you trying to photograph? Is it interesting or there is actually nothing there? And funnily enough, that's where most photographers fail. They photograph scenes that simply have no story. Two people walking away, a parked bicycle, someone scrolling their phone on a bus station. Moments that are so ordinary that if you saw them happening in front of you while sitting in a cafe, you wouldn't even lift your gaze up. And that is the majority of the images I see. The images are captured fine, but visually not interesting. Just everyday moments where nothing interesting happens. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't photograph everyday life. Quite the opposite. The real power of photography lies in finding something extraordinary within the ordinary. But to do that, you need to learn to see beyond the obvious. To observe not just what's happening, to see what others overlook, to recognize a story, a contrast, or a question within the moment. Only then the photograph begins to be interesting. The second element to pay attention is the moment itself. Two people walking on the street will most likely not be an interesting scene to photograph. But if they suddenly jump together over a puddle and they're holding hands at the same time, that's a moment. If you spend enough time observing a living creature, sooner or later they will do something unexpected and interesting, something that makes you smile or raise an eyebrow. And that's exactly what we're looking for. Moments that reveal something real and evoke some emotional response in us. I remember walking down a small street in India on my way to breakfast. In the way, I saw a few kids standing outside of their home. They were cute, but nothing special in terms of photographic interest. Then I heard a noise coming from behind me. I looked back and I saw a cow walking down the same narrow street. As I stepped aside to let it pass, one of the kids confidently stepped towards the cow and reached out his hand. Not out of fear, but in a way that you would greet an old friend. I had no time to adjust settings or think. I just felt something is about to happen, raised the camera and took the shot. On the second frame, it was already gone. Same thing happened to me in another time, in another Indian city, in another small valley. I explored a small area, and when I thought that I'm already done, I turned to leave, and again I heard noise, and when I looked back, a cow was staring straight at me. Again, one shot and she disappeared. Moments like this are fragile. They appear for a fraction of a second and then they disappear. If you're not aware of your surroundings, you might miss them. So always actively survey your surroundings. Make sure to look at everything that is happening around you. The moment is everything in photography. It's what can take an ordinary scene and make it extraordinary. Here's another quick example. I was in a camel market in Ethiopia photographing two men and their camels. I had my time to compose the image. It already had a strong sense of story in it. But just as I pressed the shutter, a bird entered into the frame, and that tiny, unpredictable detail made the image complete and elevated its value by introducing spontaneity. That's what the moment does to your photographs. It breathes life into your frame. Let's talk about gesture for a moment. Gesture is one of the moment's little helpers. We are social beings. We constantly read each other's body language to understand what's happening around us. Observing two people communicating, even without hearing what they say exactly, we can often tell the nature of the situation just by watching their gestures. The way someone leans in, the way they look away, a raised hand, a turned back, these are all visual clues. These visual clues reveal emotion and connection without a single word. Start paying attention to that. Look for these unconscious movements that say more than words ever could. Gesture gives your photograph an emotional tone. A strong gesture from one person can shift the entire focus of the frame towards him. You might not even know why your eyes go there, but they do. And we attribute this one to gesture. Now let's talk about expression. Facial expressions and emotion are another crucial layer of visual storytelling. Ask yourself, what makes a powerful portrait? It is not the light and the technical execution. Yes, these definitely help, but what makes us remember a face and connect to it is the facial expression and what it makes us feel when we look at it. The most authentic expressions are caught in a candid way. If the person is camera aware and posing, what you see is usually not authentic. It's more how they want to be perceived rather than how they really are. At the moment the camera is noticed, the person puts a mask. I love photographing people, and my favorite images, not where they're aware of me, is when they forget the camera exists. And these moments can be noticed even when the person is looking at the camera. I call it the moment between of the moments of awareness. That brief part of a second, when the guard drops down, the mask slides, and you can see something raw, something honest. That's when a portrait becomes more than just a face. It becomes a glimpse into someone's soul. You can really feel who that person is. Gesture and expressions are more than storytelling tools. They are emotional codes that give moments meaning. Learn to look for this and you will be rewarded with images that let you feel. When we take gestures and expressions and add more than one person to the frame, something else happens. Now we're forming relationships. These relationships instantly add layers of meaning to the image that give us clues about what's happening, about how people feel towards one another. And I'm not talking about obvious examples like couples, siblings, or parents with their child. These are simple, we can all read them instantly. What's far more interesting are the implied relationships, the small subtle interactions that hint at something else. Gestures in a group suggest hierarchy, trust, dependence, curiosity, all those invisible dynamics that makes us human. And when they're captured in a camera, they provide a visual story. And when we capture them, the stories in our photographs starts to speak. We begin to read intentions, feelings, and often unspoken dialogues. The image stops being a photo of just people in it, it becomes a photo about the people in it. Now that we talk about people, gestures, and relationship, it's time to introduce another key element of storytelling, and it's a sense of place. You can capture a tight shot of two people laughing, and yes, it tells you something about their emotion in that moment, but it tells you nothing about where they are. And without that context, the story sometimes feels incomplete. Sometimes location on the photo is not important, but sometimes it's very needed to tell the story in a better way. That's why it is important to consider place, the environment your subject exists in. Place gives your photograph a context, a mood, and a sense of reality. Sometimes clues about place can appear naturally in the people themselves. Their clothes, their hairstyle, the way they carry themselves, all can hint at where the scene is taking place. Other times, you need to use the environment itself. Elements from the street, walls, texture, signs, architecture, light can all become storytelling tools. They set the tone. They tell us where we are before we even start reading what's happening. There is a reason why photographers travel far and wide in search for specific places. Some environments have such a strong identity that they instantly become part of the story. Think of the red walls of Marrakesh, or the red phone booths in London, or take the Ghats of Varanasi as an example. These places are so visually distinct that even a single frame from them is immediately recognizable. A strong sense of place not only shows where the photo was taken, it becomes part of the story. And we can't talk about sense of place without touching on framing. Framing is one of the most fundamental storytelling decisions you make, often before you even raise the camera, and it starts with a simple question: what kind of lens I'm going to use, and what kind of frame I'm trying to build. A tight frame usually focuses on the subject, on their faces, their gestures, and their emotions. It pulls the viewer closer, creating intimacy and intensity. A wide frame, on the other hand, opens up the world around the subject we photograph and gives context. It shows where the story takes place. It connects your subjects to the environment, to that sense of place we just spoke before. To simplify this, tighter frames are about emotions of the subjects, wider frames are about connection of that subject to the environment. Both are powerful as long as you know why you're using them. If you want to know a little bit more on the subject, in the description of this video I have added a link to a video that explains the concept of framing in a little bit deeper level. Our next storytelling element is atmosphere. It's narrated by light and color. That's your packaging, the emotional wrapping of the story. The combination of colors in the scene will affect how we feel about it. Warm tones might make us feel warm, nostalgic, and safe. Cool tones can make it distant, calm, or perhaps a bit lonely. And the light ties all together. It shapes the mood, sets the contrast, and creates either harmony or tension. Many photographers obsess over light and color, and they are right to do so, because without them, even the best story can feel a little bit flat. The exact same scene can feel completely different depending on how it's lit or what colors dominate it. With that said, some photographers are putting more effort into the visual aspects of storytelling, like light and color, than into the content itself. Remember, content is king. Light, color, composition, they're seasoning. They are the seasoning elements for that moment. They are there to serve it. And finally, distractions. You can have the perfect moment, perfect gesture, and the perfect light for the viewer's attention, but if there is a distracting element that pulls the viewer's attention away, your story collapses. Distractions are your enemies. They are attention thieves. They break the visual flow and make your story unreadable. That's why every time you compose a frame, you should look carefully at every element inside it. Ask yourself, does this element help tell the story? Or does it take the attention away from it? Good storytelling in photography is not about as much as you include in it. It's equally about what you leave out of it. Leave out everything that can potentially weaken your image. And if you manage to capture everything we talked about, the moment, the gesture, expression, relationship, sense of place, framing, atmosphere, and clarity, all this in a single image, that would be a good one. That's the kind of photograph I would love to look at, and I will have a lot to tell about. What I tried to do here was just to build a core, a framework of what makes an image interesting and what gives it storytelling depth. If you feel there's something I missed, some other elements of storytelling you find important, write it in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. I hope that this was helpful and educational. See you next time, and as always, happy shooting!